Shotgun with Charlie.
Riding shotgun refers to the practice of sitting next to the driver in a moving vehicle. The term riding shotgun came around after the time of the stagecoach, when somebody used to sit next to the driver holding a shotgun, in case they ran into bandits. My name is Charlie Cook, and I drive a lot. I like to talk to people while I'm driving, so I interview people in my car while I'm driving. Welcome to Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Welcome to this episode of Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Before we start today's show, I do want to let you know that you do need to subscribe to Riding Shotgun with Charlie on the YouTube. I'm old enough to say the YouTube instead of YouTube. But I do need you to subscribe to that because I am trying to build up the subscribership and to get more people subscribing to the show. And also you do need to hit the notification bell so that you know that shows are going to be coming out and you'll get notified when they come out. If you would like to support the show, you can buy some Riding Shotgun with Charlie and some Gungram stickers, and you can get some Riding Shotgun with Charlie patches. You find those at ridingshotgunwithcharlie.com. And if you would like to get a Riding Shotgun with Charlie or a Gungram shirt or hoodie or mug, sometimes it's a whiskey mug, sometimes it's a coffee mug, sometimes it's a whiskey mug. Depends on what time of day it is, but not really. You can find those on the Teespring store, which is teespring.com/stores/Riding Shotgun with Charlie. All right, today in the show, we have with us, I'm going to screw her name up, is Sharyn Hinchcliffe.
Got it.
Oh, I've been practicing hard. And we are in Tacoma, Washington. Sharyn, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
I love her shirt. Can you show off your shirt?
Yes.
I call shotgun, and it's got a Mossberg 500 on it,
yes,
which I love. Where did you get that? Because I might have to get one of those.
I think it was AR 500Ts.
AR 500Ts.
They also have this awesome shirt called Women's Liberation that has a Glock and a bullet going through it.
Nice.
And the ultimate, another one with a semi-automatic. It's either a Glock or a Smith & Wesson. It's a standard semi-automatic handgun that says the ultimate in feminine protection.
Love it.
So this is actually one of my few pink t-shirts.
Really?
Yes.
I think I should. I have t-shirts and they only have my logo on them, and I haven't branched out to other sorts of t-shirts, but I think that would be completely appropriate.
Of course.
Completely appropriate. All right.
Who doesn't love shotguns?
I know. You know, the more I shoot shotguns, I did some sporting clays earlier this year, and it was so much fun.
I just take my Remy 870 to the indoor range at West Coast Armory with maximum load slugs with an 18-inch barrel to de-stress.
That's a great de-stressor.
Yes, it is.
It really is.
And according to my other half, he says it's kind of interesting sometimes to see people's legs buckle as I fire off multiple rounds as I use the pump action.
That's cool. All right, I hope you know where we're going.
Nope.
Perfect. I love that.
So we're going to go straight.
Yep.
And we're going to want to, the lane's going to do some funky things where it's going to go from one to another for going straight. But we want to continue straight until, and we're going to follow the road.
We're going to follow the road.
It's the best way I can describe it.
Perfect. All right, so let's talk about you and gun stuff.
Okay.
Did you grow up hunting and shooting?
I grew up shooting, knowing about firearms and firearm safety my entire life. My father was a Fed, and we had an unfortunate accident. A little backtrack. My family's been in law enforcement as police officers for over 100 years.
Wow.
And
you don't look that old.
Thank you. I just had a birthday, so I'm really happy to hear that.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. So we're gonna want to go. You're gonna want to go into the other lane so you can get around this guy a little bit.
Where is this gate?
Yeah, like I said, this whole thing is just crazy. So unfortunately, one of my uncles, who was a patrol officer, he had an old Victorian home that you see back in North Jersey, had his service revolver up on the top above the cabinets. and that one of my cousins got up on top of the counter, on top of the refrigerator, on top of the cabinet to get his father's service revolver. The gun went off in his hand because under the age of 5 years old, I'm sorry, I'm not going to say a kid pulled the trigger.
Right.
It didn't happen. The weight alone is what did it. I'll take that and hold it. And shot and killed one of their siblings.
Oh my God.
And my aunt had 5 kids under the age of 5 at the time. Irish Catholic family, Irish Italian Catholic family.
Yeah,
and
we know what she did for fun.
Yeah. So that cousin was my father's namesake and died in my father's arms. This is before ambulances and 911. So I don't ever remember not knowing the 4 firearm safety rules because they were drilled into us from the beginning.
Sure.
My father carried a weapon every day to work. When my sister and I were older, sibling and I were older.
We're gonna stay straight.
We're gonna go over one. Like I said, it got all crazy. He made sure we knew, and everything was demystified. If we had a question about the firearm, or if we had a question about any of the guns, we just needed to ask him. He would bring it out and show it to us. It was not kept hidden. But if we had touched any of those without permission, I would not be here today.
Right,
my mother would have killed me. And I mean that in the most loving sense. She would have made it. And we knew that threat was real.
Yeah.
But there was the firearms were always demystified. We knew how to shoot. We knew everything with it. I didn't really start becoming involved with actually going to the range and shooting and everything else until I met my other half up here in Seattle.
Really? How long ago was that?
Was 2008 is when we had our blind date. So we're going to go straight through the stop sign and just continue straight, and it's going to merge. So what you're coming up here is some of old Tacoma. And
Old City Hall.
Yep. And we're going to go down, and it's going to swing around, and you'll see how it just opens up. And this is really pretty.
Nice.
So that's how I knew about firearms.
So this was your first date? Going to the range?
No, not going to the range. We actually met for coffee. I know, coffee in Seattle.
Shocker.
What a shocker. Here's the view. As you can start seeing it opening up. So this is the Port of Seattle. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The Port of Tacoma. I'm so sorry. It's the Port of Tacoma. Cool. And so it is an active port, as you can see some of the trains coming through. So we always knew firearm safety. Any question, he would talk to us about it because he did not want what happened to the family to happen a second time. And
that makes sense.
I got into advocacy after Pulse because I have family that are in Florida that are part of the LGBT community. And I went all mama bear. Even though I don't have any children, I still went all mama bear and said, like, you ain't touching my family.
Sure.
And I will teach them to be safe and what their options are.
Very cool. That is a big ass boat up there.
Yeah.
It's not a boat, it's a ship.
So we're going to want to get over one.
Okay.
This cart there.
Gotcha.
So these are generally grain trains.
The grain train.
With wheat or something similar.
Yeah.
If they're coming out of Canada and Eastern Washington. So.
All right. It's amazing boats that big float.
Oh yeah.
And I get it's water displacement, but I don't get it. I get it, but I don't get it. That's okay. This is why I'm not a boat guy. Boat guy's not the right term. Anyway, so the Pulse got you into it, and you're not gonna. You pulled the Twisted Sister and said, we're not gonna take it.
Oh, big time. Big time.
Cool.
And it's like, you're not going to hurt family. They need to know.
Yeah.
And it's not, and with what's evolved for our chapters here, and I love Erin and Gwen. They've been inspirations. I've been testifying down in Olympia for 5 years now. Every January, February, and into March. None of us will ever be at SHOT Show here in Washington unless they are large enough to have multiple groups, because the first day of SHOT is the first day of the gun control legislation here in Washington.
Ah, gotcha.
And a bit more important than that. So this is why I had you come this way.
This is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I'm glad I put the cam on.
And we're gonna go left.
All right. So you're gonna be testifying instead of coming to SHOT Show. That makes sense.
Yep.
Completely makes sense. 2008. You started shooting just casually for fun.
Yeah.
And then, what's the process to get a permit here? Because I know Washington is
not currently. They try. Washington is currently not a. You don't need to show cause.
Okay.
You do not need to take a test, nor do you need to show competency.
Okay.
You need to fill out paperwork that you can get online, and it's dependent upon the county and the city that you live in. For individuals who live in Seattle and King County, you're going to get the forms from there, or fill out the forms at Seattle PD and the courthouse. You may be able to find a copy of the forms on the Washington State Police website. Yeah, I believe it's on that, or it'll be on the licensing.
Okay.
So it's the same site that you have driver's licenses and things like that.
Gotcha. So it's just all the state really wants is their money.
The money and fingerprints. And right now we're hearing reports of 6 and 7 months to get an appointment to have your fingerprints taken. It was actually shut down in the beginning of COVID, or the beginning of the lockdowns. Yes.
I like that you call it lockdown.
I have very choice words on that, and I know I'm not going to get you demonetized or booted off. So
I'm not monetized anyway.
I will hold my comments on that, my language on that. Yes.
Dude,
so
I've been calling it lockdown and house arrest.
Oh, it is. It is. For all intents and purposes, this is. It's definitely the first 10 violation of the Bill of Rights. The only reason why I wear a mask is to prevent that business from being shut down by the state. Washington State is, the Attorney General is using L&I to go after businesses that do not conform.
L&I is?
Labor and Industry, I believe.
Okay.
And that's the business and operating licensing. And it's also if workman's compensation and things like that. So that's what they do to go after people with fines and pulling alcohol license, so bar, so you can't serve alcohol. Operating license, so you can't collect sales tax and submit it to the state. That's what they're doing.
This is all anti-freedom.
It is, and I have a question, and this is something that I've been saying almost from the beginning. Where are the red biohazard bags for infectious diseases?
That's a good question.
And where are the trucks loaded with all of the infectious control red biohazard bags going to the incinerators? That's universal infection control policy and procedures that have been around for over 20 years.
Yeah, I don't know where all that stuff is. It seems, I've seen all the memes that have all these people in these big suits and biohazard blahs and all of that stuff, and then they're like, this is the worst virus in the world, but this little mask it'll be fine, it'll be good to go.
Yeah, that same mask was people were told not to use when all the massive fires were going on in California and in Washington and in Oregon because of the smoke. I, for one, love Roy from Weapons Outfitters. I have a SOTOR, which is an N100.
N100? Better than, it's 5 better.
Yes.
It's 5 better than the N95.
Yes. And you have that on, it's fresh air. because it is a mechanical filter and didn't smell any of the smoke. So every time we went out to get something done, my poor other half was like with his little chainmail mask, and I had the SOTOR on, and I'm like, I breathe fine. I don't smell anything.
All right, what are we doing up here?
We're gonna go
essentially straight.
Straight. Follow
take
the
right. Now that's a neighborhood?
Yeah, it's a whole. This is all new, built up. So this is actually Point Ruston. So City of Tacoma tried to annex this, and they said no. So this is actually its own area, its own little city, little town. So all of this is being built up, which is great for the little
It's only like 1 or 2 roads going in?
Yep.
Or just that rotary?
It's just this, so we'll turn around, and there's another spot where I can show you that's really pretty too.
Cool, either way. So we're going to make a U-turn?
Or just follow the circle and head back.
All right. We're in the rotary.
Uh-huh. So
hey,
it's
been...
Kids
Parliament.
Yeah, and they tried to shut down the ranges.
Kids Parliament.
And the FFL's here.
You don't get the Hey Kids Parliament joke.
Yes, I do. And so they tried to shut down the ranges here. They tried to shut down the FFLs. Thankfully, we have an amazing individual by the name of Dan Mitchell with Sporting Systems, who who is an FFL and who's been fighting. He's one of the individuals who's fighting the horrific gun control initiative that was put in with 1639, and that was a fiasco. Still is a fiasco. Right. So that's the type of, you can get me off on tangents when we start talking about Washington gun laws and everything.
Yeah, you guys did this, a little over a year ago? Determined that a Ruger 1022 is an assault weapon?
Actually, it's written within 1639. It's based upon the description of the semi-automatic action of how the firearm, how it operates, that determines within Washington State a Merlin 60 and a Ruger 1022 is legally classified as an assault weapon.
Right.
Due to Initiative 1639 that was voted in.
Unbelievable. I know in 2016 in Massachusetts, the Attorney General, I call her the AG, the Anti-Gun Attorney General, and she decided that anything that looks like an AR is an AR, and if it has the same operating system. So I'm like, uno momento. Pistol grips, collapsible stocks, flash hiders, bayonet lugs, and grenade launchers, that makes it an assault weapon. But if it's the same operating system, if it has the, if it's got the tube that blows the action back, then that changes everything. It does. This is completely, I call it welcome to the Commonwealth, right? Welcome to the Commonwealth. Doesn't make any sense. We can't have a collapsible stock on an AR-15, but we can have a Kel-Tec Sub 2000, which is a collapsible rifle that breaks in half, made by Kel-Tec. I may have one, I'm not sure. It takes Glock magazines, it shoots 9mm rounds, but it has the blowback rather than the gas operated. Yes. And I'm like,
see, ours is set up whether it uses gas or blowback. The action of the bolt moving, extracting the cartridge, getting the next one loaded up, ready for fire, based upon a single trigger pull.
Oh my God!
So that's everything. Every semi-auto. And lever action.
And lever action?
Lever action. Think about it.
Who would have thought cowboy technology would be an assault weapon?
The assault weapons bill that was being pushed through last year here in Washington State, that I can't remember if it was the independent one or tied with the magazine capacity, had lever action rifles called out in it as being
like specific ones.
Specific ones.
Specific models.
Specific models as this is an
assault weapon.
Yes.
That is insane. Obviously these people have never seen John Wick, because you could watch him kill kill 3 men with a pencil, and if it's a black pencil, it's a tactical assault pencil.
Yes.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah. It's really, really. So this is the type of minutia that we're fighting. We've been able to defeat. And I was thinking about it the other day. The last 5 years, we've had over 100 gun control bills. We have been able to defeat them through heavy advocacy work. Almost all. There's been 7 or 8 that have passed within the last 5 years. So when people say what I do doesn't matter, wrong. It does matter.
Yeah.
If you have a state association and it's at the state level, so everyone talks about how the NRA is bad. I don't care about the NRA on the national level. What I care about is ILA. ILA is the only organization that are registered lobbyists within all 50 states. They are the only ones who can impanel speakers to testify against gun control bills. So I love FPC. They're wonderful, absolutely great. They're there. They're up here testifying against the gun control bills. But they're not a registered lobbyist within the state legislature. And you must be a registered lobbyist in order to impanel.
Gotcha.
So GOA is not here.
Can we stay straight or take a right?
We can go straight.
Okay.
And so we're going to go up, and it'll be similar to where we came out.
Cool.
And I'll bring you through some other areas around here. But
awesome.
yeah, this is just beautiful down here.
Yes.
I find Tacoma to be far more beautiful than Seattle. And
yeah, we drove in a little bit today. It was
Seattle, unfortunately, is dead, and it's no longer safe. I do not feel safe there, even though I am proficient with my ability to defend myself. I don't feel safe up there.
Wow.
I've had coworkers attacked in daylight coming out of a Starbucks. I know other people who have been stalked. I know of other people who have been acutely harassed by the individuals who have arrest and rap sheets longer than I am tall. So, yeah. So back to the advocacy.
Yes.
So this is a lot what I do, and I am blessed that Erin gave me permission to speak for the chapters.
Cool. So let's talk about that real quick. There is, what's the pro-gun group here in Washington?
The pro-gun group. We have the Washington Civil Rights Association.
Okay.
We have that one that's just been established. We have ILA. We've got Pink Pistols, which I'm part of.
Which you're part of, right? Pink Pistols and Operation Blazing Sword. Yeah.
And so I am the public face of the 3 admins. We have 3 admins here for our chapter, so that we can make decisions on, is something good? Should we allow this post to go forward, or are there issues, or can somebody do something else? The other 2 individuals are not able to speak publicly because they will lose their jobs and then lose their homes because of the anti-self-defense and anti-2A positions that are up here in Western Washington are that severe.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a little nuts.
It is. So it's unfortunate that it happens. Up at the light, up here, we're going to turn left and we'll go down along the train tracks and everything else. So that's the reason why I speak. And I speak not for national. That's not my position. I speak for our chapters here. And we have active chapters in Seattle, Tacoma.
Does this road go someplace?
It does.
Like it goes right into the water.
It does, but it doesn't. It looks like that, but it doesn't. So more trains. Like I said, it's an active port. We have active chapters in Bellingham, Seattle, Tacoma. We combine the Seattle and Tacoma chapters for logistics. Olympia is getting restarted back up. It goes up and down. Portland, Vancouver. There's 2 chapters there, one on either side of the water. And then there's also in Yakima and Spokane.
Cool.
And the majority of them are active. So I know a lot of people want to get back to the ranges to start training up again.
Sure. I know the training's been difficult for when the virus that shall not be named started. in Massachusetts, we weren't able to teach classes. We weren't. The ranges were closed. The gun stores were closed. The Second Amendment Foundation did get involved with that, and then they did have to open up gun stores. But our Republican, and I use that term loosely, our Republican governor still wanted to try to keep gun stores closed because he's only, you know, a rhino.
He's a Romney McCain.
Yes. Anyway,
I have choice words about McCain that's best not to say in public.
Right. But we had it was I mean, it was famine for a couple of months, and then it was complete feast.
Yeah.
And people are taking classes left and right to get their licenses. All right, to get their licenses in Massachusetts. But for a while, we couldn't do the NRA home firearm safety class, which meets the requirements for a license to carry. We could do the NRA basic pistol class, but we could only do the virtual part online. And then if we wanted to do the live fire portion with someone, we had to take them to a state where ranges were open, which was not Massachusetts. So we'd have to take them up to New Hampshire so they could do the get their Massachusetts license.
Wow.
Like, you gotta be kidding me. This is ridiculous. So, and then of course, you know, everything parlayed into, with the summertime, everyone can start buying guns, and then we have a shortage of guns and ammo.
Yeah. So yeah, Second Amendment Foundation here in Bellevue is wonderful. Alan's amazing. The
Alan
citizens
is awesome. Alan was episode 100. Check it out.
And
oh, hold on a second.
Sure.
I got to drive Alan Gottlieb's Corvette for episode 100. I don't think there's anyone in the gun community that's done that, and that's a little badge of honor for me. So,
yeah, that would be.
How am I? I drive Alan Gottlieb's Corvette.
Yes. So, and then we deal with. I apologize. I work night shift, people. I've had 3 hours of sleep, so please bear with me. But this is my normal functionality also during the legislative session. So up at this light coming up here, we're going to turn right. And we're actually going to drive by one of the gun shops here in ranges here in Tacoma. Good guys. Really, really good guys. This is one of the places where we actually hold our range meets, which is Bullseye in Tacoma. The guys are, yes, I'm giving you all a plug because y'all are awesome.
Cool. We can ride on red?
Yes.
We are riding on red.
So we're going to turn left up here at this light.
Yeah.
And I love this, the fact that you have a charter school next to a gun range.
That's pretty wild.
Yes, and the range actually predates the school.
Oh, very
cool. So there's no question about it being grandfathered in.
Nice.
So there's the range.
Oh, there it is, right there.
Yeah. So yeah, great guys. Really, really wonderful guys.
They have they have a little bit of graffiti and wood over the windows.
Yes.
I'm sure it wasn't always that way.
No. We have seen significant amount of damage from and I'll be very clear, it is Antifa. They're here in Portland. They're in Portland.
This is a Massachusetts guy. Wait until the light turns, then put your turn signal on and make the turn.
Yeah.
There we go. There's bullseyeshooter.com. Very cool.
They're wonderful guys. They are great. They are handgun calibers only. That's what their backstop is rated for.
Gotcha.
But they're great, wonderful people. We just got back from the Oregon Shore and drove through Portland, and it is sad to see that city destroyed.
Yeah, Derek.
We will not be back, and my other half and I will not go back into Portland until we know confirmed that it's been cleaned up.
Yeah. Derek LeBlanc is Derek LeBlanc. We want to thank them for letting us use his vehicle while we're out here on the PNW stretch of a tour here. But he was telling me how bad it was, and how bad it was in Portland. And we were going through Seattle, and we'd see, I hate saying tent cities because I'm not a fan of the phrase, but we'd see these tents in the middle of nowhere, in parks, on the side of the road, underneath overpasses. I thought it was really interesting. We saw one tent on a park, on like a city property, public park, and it had a sign that said no trespassing. Yeah. I'm like, wait a second. I don't think you get what that's for.
Yeah, so we'll go over the bridge, and then swing back. Seattle has not prosecuted drug crimes. You can have enough that's on you personally, for personal consumption is enough for low-level dealing. Wow. So they're not prosecuting, and they haven't been prosecuting. and there's serious issues with it. And this is also a district city attorney who will go after anybody who's pro 2A, and which is unfortunate because of that, with the insurance commissioner, they actually kicked USCCA's insurance, carry insurance, out to the state.
Wow.
Currently, American Armed Citizens
Defense League. Well, they're also from the state.
They're also from the state. Marty
Hayes,
the Firearms Academy of Seattle.
Yep.
They are no longer taking new people because they've been getting pressure from the state and the insurance commission.
Taking a right.
Yeah, because we're going to start doing we can keep going on here because it's also so pretty. I mean, this is port. This is what you see back east in North Jersey, where my family's from. Anybody who is from North Jersey, who knows Harrison, New Jersey, knows my last name.
There we go.
Because that's where the family's from.
Yeah.
But this is very much like you would see more on the East Coast with the industrial. Seattle and Tacoma ports are closer to China and Seoul than Los Angeles and Long Beach Harbor by a couple of days, which is why we'll see stuff come up here. So,
wait, say that again?
The harbors up here.
So the ships coming from
China and Seoul, Korea.
China and Korea are closer to the United
Seattle
States
than and Tacoma by nautical miles.
Okay.
Than the Port of Long Beach.
Gotcha. That's wild.
I learned that little tidbit when I worked at the Port of Seattle years ago.
Very cool.
So this is very much Tacoma. I love Tacoma. It actually is a working, living city, and we moved down here about 2 years ago, specifically to fight the current Speaker of the House. I'm working on getting her unelected.
Awesome.
Who knows me by name, even though she ignores me. Yeah, Laurie, we all saw that. Quite a few of us saw that.
Take it right here?
Sure.
All right. We got to start heading back.
Yep. And so...
Wait, I think it's a little racist. The car in front of me has a license plate that says honky. I'm a little uncomfortable with that. I think I don't know, I might have a meltdown. What do they call that? Oh, I'm getting triggered. I see a license plate that says honky.
Oh, that's awesome. That was some money being passed to get that pushed.
Yeah, how can that be legal?
It's questionable. Good for him though.
Yeah, right?
Good for him for getting it done.
Is he calling himself a honky, or does he just honk his horn a lot?
That's a good question.
That's like, maybe he's a little aggressive on that.
Could be. Could be. So, but that's the type of advocacy work that we do. And along with that, besides the 2A, we do a lot of work for suicide prevention.
So when we're filming this, there was a shooting in Boulder, Colorado, and this guy had a lot of mental issues. From what I've read, and I haven't had a lot of time to look into it, but suicide prevention is a big thing that people need to be aware of.
In Washington State, 70% of firearm fatalities are due to suicide. It is something that is significant. For anybody who is wanting to help with somebody, there's the 800 number through the American Suicide Foundation. You can also text TALK to 741-741, and somebody will reply back to you from the suicide prevention hotline.
We're going to stay straight?
Yeah, we're going to go straight.
Okay.
And
have you heard about Hold My Guns?
Yes.
All right.
I push Hold My Guns constantly. Also, Walk the Talk America here in Washington State.
I've had both Michael Sedini and Sarah Albrecht on the show.
And we also have a program here through the University of Social Work with the University of Washington called In the Forefront Prevention. And that is actually a joint program between the antis and the 2A community.
Wow.
To actively work on reducing suicide. And one of the programs that they have is LEARN. I can't remember what the acronyms are right now.
That's all right.
Tired brain.
That'll do it.
But it goes through this whole thing where A stands for ask the person. here, we're going to
Right.
make a right at the stop sign and start heading back that way. So ask the person about suicide. The whole thing is that if you discuss suicide, it's not going to make that individual want to commit suicide.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to acknowledge that they are in a crisis and that you are listening to them and acknowledge that they're a human being.
Mm-hmm.
So we deal with that, and then we also deal with, it's going to loop around, and then we'll get back on that. And it also acknowledges them that they're a human being and they're in pain. So what can you do to help them get through this crisis? Unfortunately, before the Initiative 1639 was passed here in Washington, we had one that was called 594. 594 is the universal background checks. That, in the beginning, did not have any provision for emergency transfer of firearms to private individuals. It had to take a separate amendment to correct that. And during that time frame, spikes in suicide with firearms happened here in Washington.
Wow.
And so all private transfers here in Washington require a FFL transfer. There are no more private sales.
Yeah.
There's been only a single case prosecuted, as far as I am aware of, for a violation of the universal background checks. And the individual was prohibited anyways. It didn't need to be under that.
Right. Wouldn't have gone through.
Mm-hmm. And there's never been a single prosecution, as far as I'm aware of, since. They don't.
What is the sense in having this nonsense?
Mm-hmm. When it actually has caused an increase in suicides, increase in prevention of people not being aware of how to deal with this. I just got off the phone on Monday.
People left?
Good question.
Okay.
Let's go.
Where's this guy going?
Actually,
We're gonna. So you speak to me that way?
yeah, we're gonna go towards
right,
I-5. But we're not going to go onto I-5 itself. That's the bridge we want to turn around and get back on. So, instead of being on the freeway.
Okay.
So you have a situation where people are not able to. This is why I love Sarah's program, Hold My Gun, and getting it established here. I believe there are at least one gun shop. I don't want to say who it is because I don't have 100% confirmation right now with my tired brain that are actually participating in it.
Wait, didn't we just go down this road?
Yes, so we need to make a U-turn.
Let's make a U-turn. Right. Guy, there's enough space here. Let's do it.
Whee!
Oh! All right, that guy was not a honky. He did not honk.
So there's questions on what happens when that crisis extends beyond a few days, a few hours, and that person needs to have their firearms held. It's a significant issue. We've actually had a bill here that is for that, to deal with some of the liability issues with the FFLs. Brett Bass, who's with Forefront Suicide Prevention, is one of the individuals who's behind that bill. And Brett's a wonderful guy. He's one of an incredible advocate and everything else. He's also one of the ones that's actually one of the parties for some of the gun control lawsuits here and has won against the laws that have been put through. So, trying to get that changed and getting the medical profession here realizing, public health, realizing it's like, y'all need to work with us because you're not addressing critical things in the bills that could actually save lives. And we've got no problem. I don't know anyone within the 2A community who isn't willing to work. We want to get into that later, I believe. Who isn't willing to work with public health on suicide prevention.
Sure.
And so that's something that we do. So Pink Pistols in Seattle, in Tacoma, we are at, when they have the Pride events, we are at every single Pride event.
Very cool.
With a booth.
That's awesome.
I think 2019 we had 9 festivals in 7 weeks where we had a presence.
9 festivals in 7 weeks.
Yes. We had one where we were like, yeah, it's called kind of a blur.
6.5 days.
Yes.
Wow.
It was rough.
That is.
So as far as I know, they've canceled the Pride Parade, so we're never in the Pride Parade. One, I don't walk very well right now, and that's not a good thing.
2 fire trucks.
That's and we find we have better reception with the booths for information.
Yeah.
So we will hand out firearm safety training information about our events, and we've been starting to handing out the books for children. So by Julie Gottlieb.
Yep.
Guns. I can't remember the title of her book. There's another one called The Good Shepherd, I think it is.
Good Shepherd. Okay.
It's one of them. I can't remember the exact title, but we'll have that out. And it was telling where one of the little kids came up. This was at the Cap Hill block party down in Seattle, and he's just going through and he's really reading the book. He's just really going through it. And I'm having a discussion with his mom, and she's like, "Well, thanks for this information." She was on the more on the anti side, but when we're talking about it, it's like, well, we also are giving information out for safety for that. And she's like, well, when she was done, and it was a pleasant chat, respecting everybody's both sides on opinions and things like that. And she's like, go ahead and give him back the book. And he just had this look in his face, and I'm like, he can take it. And I said, he seems to be involved. I said, this is a firearm safety. Right. This is going into, for him, primarily a lot of pictures and things like that for a young child to read, pushing firearm safety. So my hope is, if we do have the festivals this year and everything, that we can have Yehuda's PPG's books,
I love Yehuda.
More of Julie Gottlieb's, more of Erica's Big Day. If we can, about getting a large amount of copies with that, so we can hand them out.
That's cool.
Because to me, it's more important to give out that safety information than it is to be on anything else. It's like, push the safety information. I've had individuals who have come up where one partner is very pro-gun and the other partner's anti, and he's like, I just don't want to talk about, I don't want to deal with their firearms. And I'm like, at least if they're injured from saving, in the attempts of saving you, have respect to know how to protect them.
Right.
And at least know how to safely use that firearm. So that if something happens, I'm not saying to own it, but understand
how to use it,
how to safely use it, how to clear it, how to do something so that if there is an issue, you know what to do. At least to be able to safely hold it without having a problem.
Right.
And we've had a lot of really positive interaction with that. It's like, you may not be QA, you may not be pro-gun, you may not be anything, that's fine. But have that information.
Know how to be safe with it.
At least have the knowledge to be safe.
Sure.
And that's how we talk with a lot of people where it's like, oh, my other half or my father or my uncle or whatever has a firearm. We have that for information. It's like, be safe with it so that you know if it happens that you need to deal with it, you know what to do without hurting yourself or hurting somebody else.
Right.
And
that kind of brings it right back to how you got into this.
Yes.
Which is pretty wild. All right, listen, we are almost where we need to be, so we need to start wrapping things up. How can people find you and all of the stuff that you are up to?
We are on Seattle Pink Pistols in Tacoma is on Facebook. Meetup for our primary things, for our meetups and things like that. And myself, I am on Instagram, Parler, CloutHub, PocketNet, Twitter, Mastodon.
What is that?
Those are all social media platforms. Mastodon and PocketNet are similar to Twitter in that it's a social blogging kind of a thing for what Twitter is. And I'm also on
Don't you have any friends, girl? Like,
I
social media all the time? Holy moly.
It's just, you learn how to deal with all of it. And on Instagram.
On the IG.
Yes. So I'm on multiple. The only thing I'm not on is YouTube.
You will be soon.
Yes. So I have an account, but I've never posted videos. I've never done any of that.
That's cool. That's all right.
Because I've just always been focused on the advocacy side. So everybody else posts videos, and it's like, okay, here we are.
Gotcha. Cool. All right, well, listen, I'm going to put links to all of that stuff. I want to make sure that if you want to support the show, get some Riding Shotgun with Charlie patches and stickers at writingshotgunwithcharlie.com. Please support and join and support the Second Amendment Foundation. Their website is SAF.org. You can check out all of your pro-freedom podcasts in one place at SDRN. That's Self-Defense Radio Network, SDRN.us. You can watch Riding Shotgun with Charlie on YouTube, Gunstreamer, and on the OpsLens app. You can listen to it on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on iHeartRadio. And if you are not subscribing to the YouTube channel, you need to. These are for you.
Thank you.
Some Riding Shotgun and Gungram goodies.
Awesome. And these are for you.
All right. I have a pink pistol and an Operation Blazing Sword patch. I love the phrase, armed queers don't get bashed. I love that. I loved it before I got involved in all the stuff that I'm doing. So I think that's totally cool. A friend of mine was in the Midwest, and there's a conservative, a gay conservative group that says our gays are tougher than their straights. Yes. Which I love.
Yes. And those patches, if you reach out to the national chapter, they are available for donation. And through Erin. Erin's got all of them. So
cool. We'll put a link to that so people can get in touch with Erin Paulette. And I thank you guys for watching the show, and we will see you next time when we get the Stagecoach across America. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you.
And we will talk to you later.